So hi, I'm Manu. I live in Zurich. I'm originally from Kerala and I moved out of India about 6 years ago. I came out to do my master's and then I came to Zurich to do a PhD and then I founded my company here. So I did my first degree, Bachelor in Electronics and Communication Engineering at NIT Surathkal, and this was in 2010. And then I started my first job in Bangalore. I was working for a company called Analog Devices, where I was doing chip design, that kind of stuff. So I worked there for about 3.5 years, and then I kind of got interested in this space of artificial intelligence. So I left the job and I moved to UK to do a short research program. This was in Manchester, where I spent about 1.5 years. And then I finished that and I did a brief consulting kind of a thing in UK itself for a brief time. That is when I came to Zurich for an event, met a nice professor. He invited me to do a PhD and then I moved here. And that work went well, which led to our core technology. I mean, it led to some nice results. And based on those results, I founded my company and we just are close to closing our seed round now. The hardest challenges were a bit earlier in my career, so to say. Uh, so I had a pretty bad start to engineering itself. I messed up my entrance exam, so I had to drop a year. I actually wrote my roll number wrong, so I dropped the year, and then we did reasonably well. It's okay. I said there were challenges, but it was still not a bad start. But generally, what happened was at that time when I finished my engineering, I also did not find the jobs I really wanted to do. Uh, so I was pretty ambitious about what I wanted to work on, and this was something that was there. These companies tend to be fairly selective, and for whatever reason, I didn't find the job I really wanted. So I had to to find my way to where I am. So there were no optimal the exact thing I wanted to do, and I kind of stepped on the next most optimal thing, and you keep stepping in that direction till something works. So I think I would say once I started my PhD, I was very satisfied with where I was, but I did not chart the path. Uh, so I would say the challenge was in not knowing what it would look like, but in kind of working in a manner that makes it slightly better than where you are. Synthara is a company that designs extremely energy efficient chips for artificial intelligence use cases. The buzzword that people like to talk about all applies. So it's neuromorphic engineering, it's edge computing, it's next gen and all that stuff. But basically what we do is we find ways to make edge devices, so wearable devices, smartphones, augmented reality headsets, drones, all of these smarter in typically a very energy limited environment. So maybe you don't want to charge it often, or maybe you never want to charge your device, but you still want it to be reasonably smart. And we design chips that can handle these workloads that, in our opinion, at least 10 times more efficiently than existing solutions. It's hard to do what I'm doing for the simple reason that it comes from a series of different and interdisciplinary topics, and if someone tries to do the same thing, it might be pointless because I would have or I and my peers would have already finished that. So I don't think there is much benefit in trying to chart the same path I'm on. Uh, what is generally helpful, I would say, is especially now, it's good to have one core skill set and then build your peripheral skill sets to that you think are valuable for what you want to do. So in my case, for instance, I work on chip design, but my PhD was on neuroinformatics. So here we were looking at neural networks. We were actually studying animal and human brains and trying to understand how those computations work. And then based on those those studies, we found ideas for building our own chips. So maybe the next Synthara should be built on ideas that come from something else. I don't know. But the basic point is you should have a core focus. In my case, it was on building better chips. And then you look for, at least I looked for ideas on how best I could do it. And then you also have to compromise on based on what opportunities you get. So I would have probably liked to work on plastic electronics, quantum computing and all that. I did not have that option. But that doesn't mean this wasn't interesting. So in most cases, I think people can find 2 or 3 different ways to achieve what you want to do. You just have to optimize it. Keep building your core skill set, and then learn things that are necessary to differentiate yourself. I think differentiation is important. There are many people who can design chips in the world, but there are not many people who can bring together an understanding of neuroscience and chip design and software and business, all of this at the same time, and that helps me become a good entrepreneur. Hopefully a good entrepreneur. The problem with India, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, is that the support on the public money side is kind of limited, or at least hard to access. So it needs new business models, it needs different approaches, it needs good mentors. Actually, that's what really helped me. I would say finding good mentors. You don't need one good mentor for all of your life. You need one good mentor for that decision. So finding that person, talking to the right person would really help. Yeah. They should do. Okay, I want to say they should do things they enjoy. But they should also look for ways to align their interests with what their elders are asking them to do. So there is a reason why people did engineering, because it did have far more opportunities than everywhere else. But maybe somebody is interested in biology. It doesn't mean it's an either or situation. There are many ways to do both, and you might actually enjoy doing it that way. And I'm sure in most situations there are solutions to that. So I think you should try to find ways to do what you enjoy that are practical. Yeah, and stick with it. Persistence is really the key. Killer Till is, as far as I understand, a nice bonus education program, right? So if I'm doing something and maybe I don't understand deep learning enough, so I come there, I learn something for some time, and given your network of experts, I'm assuming you will be able to connect me with a larger number of choices than I would if I just go around looking in my neighborhood. So in that sense, I think it's an enabler. It's a good platform, and if it grows to the scale, it can be like a pretty powerful tool to find the people you need to learn from.